All right, we are looking at lesson 41 today. Reciprocal trig function and permutation notation. There are three reciprocal trig functions. Have y'all heard of cosecant, secant, or cotangent? 1 over cosine is secant, 1 over sine is cosecant, and 1 over tangent is cotangent. Did we do these last year? Okay. I couldn't remember if we had done this last year. You probably didn't use them much. The lesson was just like on introducing them. Cosine and secant, C and S, sine and cosecant. The two S's don't go together, and the two C's don't go together. Does that make sense? Like secant doesn't go with sine; it goes with cosine. The S's and the C's do not go together. Like secant doesn't go with sine, and cosecant doesn't go with cosine. Does that make sense? That's how I remember which one. Well, that's still how I remember it. And then cotangent and tangent, those go together. Have a good weekend. All right. So we want to evaluate secant of 330 degrees and then plus cotangent of 480 degrees. So secant is 1 over what? 1 over cosine of 330 degrees. Does that make sense? Cotangent is what? 1 over tangent of 480 degrees. Y'all see how those work so far? What is the cosine of 330 degrees? It's the cosine of 30. What quadrant is it in? The fourth quadrant. What is the cosine of a 30-degree angle? Is it positive or negative? Because cosine is positive in the fourth quadrant. Does that make sense? It's 330 degrees. And then tangent of 480 degrees. Well, what do we need to make that first? We make it tangent of 120. What quadrant would that be in? With what degree angle? What is the tangent of a 60-degree angle? The square root of 3. So plus 1 over square root of 3. You'll see where those two came from. So 1 over square root of 3 over 2 is what? 2 over square root of 3. Is this one negative? Well, okay. Minus 1 over square root of 3. Before I rationalize, I'm going to go ahead and combine them. They both have square root of 3 in the denominator. I have 1 over the square root of 3, which is what? Square root of 3 over 3. Does that make sense? Get any questions there? Okay. I'll rewrite this. 2/3 of secant of negative 3 pi over 4 minus secant of 11 pi. Do what? I had a headache. I had a headache when I woke up this morning. I don't feel good. And after this, I have to go to swimming lessons. Then really, I've been teaching for 8 years. They're at the wellness. But I never knew she taught swimming. Does she still do them? You should all go what? All right. What would you start by doing for this one? 1 over sine. And what would this angle be instead of in radians? Okay. And then 1 over cosine of what? Okay. That's 135. 11 pi over 4 times pi 80. What did you get? 495. In case Scott or Ray don't know how to get this number, I'm writing it out. And then you say minus 360 to get that. So y'all understood it, but in case they get home and they're listening to this lesson, they don't know what's going on. Okay. So what are we going to do for sine of negative 135? What quadrant will that be in? The third, because you go this way. What angle is it? So what is the sine of a 45-degree angle? What over here? What? 1 over 1 over square root of 2. Is it positive or negative? Negative. Sine is, yes. Tangent is the only one that's positive in third. Sine is negative in third. Does that make sense? So cosine of 135 is what? What quadrant is it in? So is it going to be positive or negative? Negative. And it's 1 over the square root of 2. Does that make sense? What is 1 over the square root of 2? Negative square root of 2. And then plus the square root of 2. Does that make sense? So you get negative 2/3 square root of 2 plus square root of 2, which is what? Square root of 2 over 3. Does that make sense? Any questions on that one? Okay. You hate these? Are they difficult though? They're not difficult though. See if you can work it by yourself. Okay. Get that? Whatever one over square root of 2 becomes square root of 2. So square root of 6. I usually take migraine medication and go to sleep. I don't like, my mom says like, you need to eat. If you have a headache, it means you're hungry. All right. It was the square root of three. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3 here, it should just be 1 over square root of 3, which is the square root of 3. Does that make sense? Any other questions? Okay. How many ways are there to arrange 22 items if you take 5 at a time? Yeah, it is a big number. Yeah, million. Did y'all get 3,160,080? Yes. You do have a button for this one. A permutation is a way to arrange items whenever order matters. We did a lesson on permutations a few days ago. This button is actually on your calculator. This is what it actually means. N factorial over n minus r factorial. The n is the total number of items that you have, and the r is the number that you're going to use. Which is where you had 23 times 21 times 20 times 9. They didn't want to introduce it all at once. Well, some of them you can't use the formula. Some of them you have to work out. The total number of items they give you, and R is the ones that you are using. Because you're not using all 22 of them. Sometimes I guess you could, but you're not going to. They're using how many at a time? 5 at a time. The button on your calculator, go to Math, and then go over to PRB. So if you don't have a fancy graphing calculator, just go to PRB somewhere on there. Then, are we going to go to NPR or NCR? Probability. Combination. Did that come up on your calculator? So we got to put in a number. Okay, what are we going to use for our n? So we need to type in 22 and then NPR, and then what is our R? Our R is 5. So this is what you should have typed into your calculator. And you should still get the same number. Does that make sense? If you use the calculator or if you use the formula, 22 factorial over what factorial? Which is 17. So see if that gives you the same answer. So you can do it out by hand. You can use the formula, or you can use the button on your calculator. Yeah, using the formula. Does that make sense? Any questions on that? Okay. So find 12p 4. What do y'all get? Do you agree? Okay. How many ways can you arrange 6 different flags taking 4 at a time? 360. Any questions on those? You can only do permutations when order matters. Okay? If the order matters is when you do permutation. So if it says you can use them like as many times as you want, repetition doesn't matter, you will not be doing permutation. You'll need to continue to work those out by hand. Okay? Any questions on these? All right. Yeah, you can still do the box.